Hi, everyone. I'm Exitry, Director of Quality Engineering GitLab. This is the group conversation for the Quality Engineering Department. As always, please review, take a minute to review the slides, and then put your questions in the doc, and we'll begin to answer those questions. A quick note that there are customer names in the slides, so this is a public live stream, so please refrain from vocalizing the customer names. And with that, we can start answering questions.
Hi, Mike. I can ask one while we wait for other people to read through the slides. What do you think is the biggest challenge that the quality department is facing right now? Maybe that will seed the conversation.
I think the biggest, probably the area to focus on is likely proactive quality. This is the quad planning, and we have already groundwork on the process, and then buy-ins from the whole organization, actually. So having more momentum on that, making it more lightweight, making it more effective, and having it be measurable is important. The other part is I always worry about the team's workload. So making the internal on-call process more lightweight and more effective, automate things that we can, that's boring and then that's repetitive. That's really key. So we make time for ourselves to be more proactive in making quality. Thank you for the question. Well, while we wait for that, I wanted to highlight, and I will not vocalize the customer name. So under slide 10, we did a first successful rollout of the reference architecture at a 25K. The next one is also coming, and I believe it's 50K with Geo as well. So it'll be a bigger rollout, a bigger architecture, but we're all excited to provide more headroom for growth for our self-managed customers.
Hey there, Mac. I'll put my question in the agenda, but could you unpack that a little bit? I'm not familiar with the new reference architectures that we're building. Could you just give me a high-level overview of what that looks like and what the goal is and how we're kind of approaching this?
Sure, my pleasure. So this started actually a year ago, believe it or not. Eric Johnson initiated this because our self-managed installations are fragmented. So each customer have their own way of setting it up. They go through our docs. They may have some availability components, like they may have backup. They may have zero downtime upgrades. They may not have Geo. This aims to have a recommendation that we could help maintain easier, and essentially a blueprint for customers to deploy their self-managed reference architectures and have it be easier, manageable, and also lessen the load on our side too, so we don't have to start anew every time someone wants to set up something and they go through the docs. Having a set of really opinionated guidelines helps with the rollout. Does that help clarify the question?
Yeah, that's cool. So what we've got, the 25K reference architecture. What other? I assume it's kind of chunked in size.
Yes, they are, and
yeah.
Hopefully this page solves that concern. This is fresh off the oven. We just added this in last week, actually. So there's a chart now to show what are the tiers that we have for reference architectures. We have some of these components to highlight the easier to set up to the most complex to set up. So backups down to instance level replication and disaster recovery. And kudos to the technical writing team. Leave it on the call. We now have each page for every reference architecture. So under 1,000, we have these. all the machine types are there thanks to the work of the team, Tanya's team, the enablement quality engineering team. And these were not there before. So you can imagine if someone wants to set something new, it's just, hey, where do I start? Blank slate. And now there's like a guideline that we can follow, and we can help maintain easier as well because we know the configuration right off the bat.
Cool, this is awesome. Thanks a lot. And
Yeah.
awesome work getting all this in there. This looks like fantastic documentation. I'll have to dig into it.
Kudos to the team. Thank you.
I think I've got the next one. So I was just curious, and there's a slide in here, it looks like it's slide 7, that sort of just says there's quad planning activity happening. I guess I'm curious, like, what is the results of that activity? Like, what are we seeing as benefits, or what's working well, or what's not working, or sort of how's that process going in general?
That's a great question, Kai. You hit the nail on the head here. And we just discussed this in the staff meeting just now before we come in. So if I may share my screen. So we just started to get data in to measure the activity from our team. So 13.0 is the most active, so we have momentum. What we want to do going forward is turn this into a PI or even a KPI for each managers in the quality engineering department. So we want to work on having the planned, these are the issues that we need to do quad planning in this milestone. And then what are the actuals that the team is able to cover and add their test planning processes. So better measurements is going to come in. I think we do have an issue to actually also measure the outcome of the quad planning issue, where if there's new tests identified, then it's a scope label with like action identified. And if there's no additional test infrastructure needed, or it has adequate test coverage, so there's no action. So that helps measure the effectiveness of our activities. And I believe we have great feedback. I think we have a lot of success in the dev product side, mainly knowledge and editor, where those SATs are really being proactive. The team is in a really good cadence now. So we aim to replicate the same working environment with other groups, so the teams are effective in the same way. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it sounds like we don't know necessarily that, like, we haven't measured the benefits, I guess, of this process yet. Like, we're still early days to understand like what the outcomes are. But
correct.
At least we're seeing some activity happening.
Correct. And momentum. The end goal is we will pair this with the defect rates, which is also data is coming in, and we need to dissect that into each groups. And if our assumptions and our planning strategy is correct, then we should start to see a stable or even a lower count of new defects for that group, with increased proactive quality and quad planning for that group. And that's going to be the two levers that the quality engineering managers in the department will be running forward and helping with the counterparts.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'll move back to the agenda real quick and then see if there are any other questions. Number 5, Sid, you'd like to vocalize? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the detailed presentation. I think you win the record for linking to most issues of any of the GCs. So thanks for that. That's super helpful. Do you have any ideas on front-end performance, or maybe performance in general? We see that our site speed is about 1800 milliseconds. Our competition is at 800 milliseconds. We're twice as slow as GitHub. What do you think is needed to get the site speed under 1,000 milliseconds, which is a Q2 goal? Do you think it's mostly front end, or do you think there's more there?
I think it should be a blend of both. We have had a lot of great progress from the back end. I think it's also testing production-like data earlier on, because staging, it doesn't have the right data. The seed data in the review apps is relatively too clean. I think having more data to test early on helps. Right now, with the urgency to fix this, I think we need to measure in production. And it's something that I'm discussing with Joshua on measuring the important user workflows and journeys and have timings for that. I think deciding whether it's a front end or a back end would need more debugging into when we have those measurements. But from a top, from what I'm seeing on the activity so far, I think a lot of these can be front end. I know Tim is working on reducing the SVG, so the size is smaller, so the rendering time is lower. I think a number of those activities would help to take down the site speed measurements lower.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I pasted in the agenda, like, I think we can make demo data better if we have fewer mechanisms for it. Right now we have a generator, we have DB seeds, we have demo data, we have the demo data generator, and we have project templates. I think it would be great if you get one super complex project that has everything from burn down charts to all the relationships that might make your project slower, so that we can kind of add to that as a company instead of diluting our effort by not having a single source of truth. So I'm excited about you getting involved there.
Yes, so this is where I'm really passionate about. I think this is also coming from, like, we don't have a good unified test data model. So demo data, test data, they're almost the same. So having flags to, you want demo data customer facing, or you want test data, having one source of deployment, that is great. In my past company, we actually treat demo data and test data as like a newspaper we send out every week. So data changes, everybody knows this test needs to use this data now. That's something in the longer term in the roadmap that we want to do here at GitLab as well, to have test data be broadly known, be democratized, and be unified.
Yeah, I think it should be part of our code base, like everything is, and you should be able to, I'm not sure it's a rig task or a project template or what it is. I think we should generate it programmatically. So I think it should be a rig task or something like that, and then we can create the project template based on that. The DB seeds run the same thing, the generator runs the same thing. So I don't think it should be what we send out weekly. It should just be in the code base, and as you add a new feature, it's your responsibility to also add a ton of demo data. We can have a variable whether you want to generate less or more of it.
Fully supported and fully aligned. I believe it should just be part of the product. And if you want to add new feature, then that should also be something you consider from the get-go. Like, what do you need? Use existing one or add a new one, and then just have it be something that everybody can use and part of the product. So yes, we have our eyes on it, and then we can discuss. We will cover this more in the next iterations and next GCs.
Awesome.
Jarv, number 6.
Thanks, Mac. Just a quick question, whether the master pipeline success rate, are we planning to include other projects? Or maybe we are already. I didn't actually look into the details, but other satellite repositories like Italy, Registry, Workhorse, Shell, all this other stuff.
Great question. Right now, that KPI is focused on the main project, the GitLab project. I think the next iteration would be to help other teams track the other satellite projects. I also want to be cautious here because we want to encourage using the limited number of projects, and we want people to add code to the existing code base, not spin up a new project. But at least the core satellite projects like Runner, Italy, I think those should be the next steps. And also we have a counterpart accounting for the EP team, so it's going to be on our backlog, and we'll get to it when the time comes. But right now, let's get the main project really solid, so everyone's life is good and happy there.
Cool, thanks.
Before I move on to number 7, thanks, John. The current focus is obviously efficiency. So the current quarterly KRs are geared towards this lowering the cost efficiency. So that is the highest priority at the moment. John Mason, number 7, sir.
Thanks. I'm just interested in a little bit of backstory around quad planning. I found a few references to it in the product management flow and so on, but I was wondering if you could tell me a little story about what's that all about as a product manager that's new here. What do I need to what do you want me to know in order to move us in the right direction?
This question is a great feedback for me, because the output of the process that we rolled out is an MR update to the handbook that's linked by Ramya under number 7A. So it's now integrated into the current product development workflow. I believe we can have maybe a small landing page under our quality handbook to just describe the context behind this and why. We do have an issue for this. So the context is with proactive quality in the existing, I want to say legacy agile way of doing things, we have the three amigos, which is quality, product, development. But mapping that to counterparts at GitLab, the counterparts actually the four main pillars. So development, product, UX, and quality. The goal is to have proactive quality planning ahead of time. So tests should be part of the definition of done. Maybe it should even be part of the requirements. To have that discussion earlier on, identify the risk, and have work scheduled so you can have tests done along with your features. That's really key to have a reduced number of bugs with every new feature going out. So that aims to stop new things from getting bad. Then when that is stable, we will work on cleaning the backlog. So the technical, I would say tests in the backlog that needs to be done. But this aims to stop new things from getting bad.
Now, are we targeting a certain set of a certain type of issue or a certain percentage of issues? You know, what's our goal here?
So if you look at the handbook, and great question, by the way, the workflow build one phase, we're aligning on the.
Mal schneller. Wir können setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Wir können dann noch ein bisschen rumschneiden oder rumtricksen. Es ist musst du vielleicht noch irgendwo auf jetzt wirklich live gehen drücken?
Also was dieser Zoom-App ja definitiv
wenn man,
fehlt, sind die Hintergründe.
Wenn man links oben bei YouTube auf View Stream on YouTube geht, landen wir auf einem aktuellen Livestream auf Gottlieb unfiltered. Also vielleicht geht da immer nur einer.
Also ich sehe jetzt auf jeden Fall.
Und du hast den Namen geändert für jemanden anderen, der gerade live streamt. Der heißt jetzt Everyone Can Contribute, Käffchen.
Ja, das habe ich gerade gesehen. Okay.
Also es geht immer nur ein Livestream anscheinend.
Das ist ja alles ein Murks. Beim letzten Mal hat das super funktioniert, aber da war offensichtlich niemand parallel.
Ja, sonst zeichnen wir das heute halt nicht auf und lernen uns mal kennen oder quatschen mal und schauen mal, ob es überhaupt Substanz ist, die Sinn
Können wir
macht,
gerne auch machen.
zu publizieren. Ja.
Deliverables and features. So features that are deliverables. So that's what the plan is, to cover all of that. Now, I know that products, some teams work differently. Some teams use the directional label, some teams don't use the deliverable label. So if you recall the first point that we discussed, the third point with Kai, we were just starting to get data in. So we don't know if we need to adjust to have a different dashboard for each team, that some might use the deliverable label, some might not use it. So having that be identified and measured will be really important going forward in the next couple of releases. So we aim to focus on what matters. And I do agree, I think we should cover what's in the kickoff. That should be, because we are promising that, and that's where quality should be as well.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Just had a follow-up on
Kristen, do you have a?
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're using the quad planning process, and it's still new to me, but I'm curious if we want to have the QA engineers come earlier on in the process when we're talking through features or design and have them participate in the group sync meetings and that sort of thing, or if they'll just, so far they're working really well on their own, but not as integrated into the team. And I'm just wondering if that would change in the future.
I believe that would change in the future. Right now we are aligning on build phase one plan. if we think that going in even earlier would help.
Warte mal, nee, das lösen wir ganz einfach das Problem. Das ist aber blöd. Okay. Ich dachte, also beim letzten Mal, Stop Live für Stream.
Vielleicht sollst du